Now, I think it's a good time to delve into the headlines. I believe so. You know, news has been really newsing. It's not even a joke. Right. So I have with me the City Newsroom online.com, City Newsroom online portal. The big stories here. Dansoman Legon residents urge Mahama to complete Agenda 111 projects. That's the big story here. Dansoman Legon residents urge Mahama to complete Agenda 111 projects. Mahama visits Mali as part of the Good Neighborliness Tour. Also here, International Women's Day, Oware-Mensah calls for efforts to achieve gender equality. 2025 Heritage Caravan participants enjoy thrilling boat ride at Mahama Beach Village. Also here, Ato Forcing engages traders Kayaye at Makola ahead of budget presentation. On settings, no. What settings? You know, people are saying that cabinet has already approved the budget. So what was they engaging the traders for?
Hey,
if they raise issues,
please. No, but if they've approved, they have to ask where they use the money for. So you have to ask them. So probably there's a little problem here and there. So that we'll not come and say that they chop the money.
I think it was great that the minister and his deputy and other technical advisors went into Makola, went into the street to engage Ghanaians and listen to them. That was good. You know,
that's a good move.
People said it was PR, but hey, whatever it is, I'm sure they'll get some really useful feedback they can use. Now, still here, Elembele, that's the constituency for the Lands and Natural Resources Minister. NDC executives over there applaud Mahama for appointing Ajoba Blay as Ghana Gas CEO. Also here, revive private sector participation in energy sector, Franklin Kujo to Jenapo. Economic dialogue paves the way for renewed investor confidence. Prof. Sharif Mahmoud Khalid, who is economic advisor at the office of the vice president. Also here, economic, or let me say, Galamsey crisis worsening. State agencies must act. Arocha Ghana, with that one, their executive director or deputy executive director, Darobosu, was on breakfast, or let me say, was on the big issue tomorrow. So what am I saying? He was on a big issue yesterday. Yes, the Galamsey crisis, on the Galamsey crisis, and he made some really important points about what government needs to do to tackle this menace. Also here, Mahama has been speaking. He says women empowerment must be a priority in all spheres. And also finally, national economic dialogue has value. Franklin Kujo over there speaking. And Gifty Oware has been in the news. She's been detained over NSA fraud probe. So these are some of the big stories. You can do Channel One news for us. The headlines, then we take it up from there.
Okay, so we have here, I Did No Wrong. This is Ofusan Pofo on leaked tape saga. And then we have election 2024. I have no problem with Asiedu Nketia. This is Ofusu Ampofo as well. And then we have righteousness will always prevail over evil. This is Godfrey Dami responding to the leaked tape accusation. And yeah, I think that might be it.
All right, so I think it's a good time to go. Some of the headlines we have right now. Which one do you want us to start with? I think, you know, the story on Legon and Dansoman residents calling for the president to complete Agenda 111 hospitals as a step in the right direction. Because, see, I remember when some pastors went to the president to congratulate him after he had won the election. I think quite recently, he disclosed that it would cost about, you know, billions of cedis, if not dollars, to complete the project. Money government clearly doesn't have. So it will be interesting how government would want to go about this. We've heard that already. They've said that churches should come on board, bring some, you know, funds, some money, and use it to complete it, you know, and operate it like a mission hospital of a sort, right? These are all ideas that are coming to the table as to how to go about it. Mind you, the previous government has already committed $400 million to this project, even though we are being told by this new administration that not a single one has been operational, not even the one at Trader, where the president cut short to announce this huge project. So, excerpts of the story says residents of Legon and Dansoman are calling on President Mahama to complete the Store Agenda 111 hospital projects, which were initiated under the Kufuor government. Their concerns follow President John Dramani Mahama's first State of the Nation address, where he stated that none of the Agenda 111 projects were operational. Reports estimate that approximately $1.7 billion is required to complete them. Charlie, now 1.7 billion.
Not million.
You know, our whole GDP is about 88 billion. I'm going to use 1 billion of it to fit. You know, a visit by ChannelOne News to some project sites revealed that the construction has either stalled or is at a very early stage. The new Legon in Adenta municipality, sand, gravel, and construction equipment were spotted at the site, but work remains on hold due to an ongoing audit. The contractor was absent, and the project has seen no progress since the change in government. So,
right.
Yeah, like I said, $1.7 billion needed. In Ghana cedis is way more, right? We went to IMF for only $3 billion
right.
to manage the economy, right? So the point is that it is clearly not something within the strength or the might of government to do at this time, right. Considering all that is happening. Don't forget, USAID has cut aid to us, right? There's a pause on 90 days. It's going to affect our health sector very significantly, and health programs, malaria control, HIV/AIDS control programs, and all of that. So, as to whether government has $1.7 billion to complete Agenda 111, I don't think it is the case. So the point really is, how then do you maximize bringing everybody on board to realize this project, right? And I think the approach by the president or the presidency seems apt, in my opinion. Bring the churches in, bring private sector in, let them complete it, right? A lot of people have argued that there's more value in the church or in private sector partnering government on a project like Agenda 111 than there is for the National Cathedral, right? Because hospitals, you are literally saving lives. So I think in the coming days, we'll hear a lot more about how government intends to, because you can also leave, you also can't leave the projects like that, because money has already gone into it to begin with, right?
It needs to be completed.
It needs to be completed. So we'll see how government is able to manage all of these things in the coming, days and probably months. Right.
So we have here on ChannelOne TV. Let's get on to Gifty Oware-Mensah, held by NIB over NSA payroll fraud. Okay, so the story here says Gifty Mensah, a former deputy director of the National Service Authority and a current Ghana Football Association Executive Council member, has been detained by the National Investigation Bureau in connection with ongoing investigations into a payroll fraud case at the NSA. Her arrest reportedly took place on Friday, March 7, 2025, and she has since remained in custody despite multiple attempts to secure her bail. Reports say former NPP General Secretary John Boydu had stepped in to facilitate her bail, but she was later removed from the NIB premises, leaving questions about where her current location is. So Oware-Mensah's detention follows the investigation into an alleged ghost name scheme at the NSA, an issue that gained national attention after an expose by the Fourth Estate. Addressing the matter in his first State of the Nation address, President John Dramani Mahama directed law enforcement agencies to take action against those implicated. Reports suggest that some suspects have already fled to the country, prompting the president to order the freezing of their assets. Before her arrest, Minority Leader Alexa Nafenyo-Markin had confirmed that Oware-Mensah was preparing to cooperate with the NIB regarding the case. She had only just returned to Ghana on March 5th, 2025, after a vacation abroad following the 2024 elections. So you don't land, we don't grab.
Yeah, it's good. We had the president say that he's instructed security agencies and investigative bodies in the country to probe the National
and freeze
Service Authority ghost name scandal, which is a step in the right direction. You know, the money is being put out there, 56 million cedis a year. You know, that's a lot of money. I think it was even a month, I'm not sure, right? You know, that was a lot of money involved, and this is state money, right? But it's also important that whilst the security agencies appear to be doing their jobs, they should be mindful of the rights of persons involved in the scandal, right? The law says that you can't keep somebody in custody for over 48 hours without access to their counsel, and also, you know, so the point I'm making really is that the law ought to be followed, regardless of who the person is and what the situation is. And I'm sure that we are a country guarded by the rule of law, right? And it should prevail at every point in time in the justice delivery process when it gets to court, and also in the investigation period. So, you know, it's a story that excites the bees. Well, depending on which base you belong to, right? But for those in government, you know, they promised oral, they promised to retrieve all loot, right? Whereas those in opposition feel like this is a clear case of political witch hunting, right? But it's important that whichever the case is, we should go to the root cause of the matter, right? We should reach a reasonable end, and I'm sure that in the coming days again, we'll hear something very, you know, concrete. If you listen to, you know, it's funny, this particular story, because if you listen to the current National Service Authority boss, Mr. Felix Jemfi, you know, he was on a point of view show the other time, and even though they generally agree that this raises eyebrows, you know, he had, in my opinion, a kind of a relaxed approach to say that, well, the investigation is not all that, it doesn't seem like, I want to choose my words carefully. So his point was that, you know, it's a bit exaggerated in a way, right? And that a lot of people are running to town without understanding really what the situation is. And this is somebody in this new administration. So, and he said this on a point of view show with Bernard. So my point is that we need to carefully go through the issue, reach a logical conclusion. And if it's indeed the case that state funds have been misapplied and misappropriated, then the law takes its course. But in doing so, we should be mindful of the rights of the persons involved. And I think Martin Kpebu, who is a staunch, you know, admirer now of the current administration, has said same. And I think that's important we retrace the point that in going after the people, we should not abuse or violate their rights.
Hey, you're passionate about this one, Kakra.
Yeah, Charlie, it's my tax.
Are you a law student?
No, it's my tax.
Are you a law student?
It's my tax.
Are you a law student?
It's my tax. You know, so now there's this other story, citynewsroom.com. Mahama visits Mali as part of the Good Neighborliness Tour. Charlie, you know, Mahama, so I think he wants to bring all of the Sahel countries that left the ECOWAS back into the ECOWAS.
You think so?
Yeah, that's the whole idea. Because then while he go on a Good Neighborliness Tour, so he's going to visit Burkina Faso. You know, their leader was in Ghana during Mahama's inauguration, and the people went, Charlie, you saw the video.
I saw it. We love it. We love it.
So you go to Burkina Faso, but now he's in Mali, and I'm sure you also visit Niger. And there's a lot going on in terms of,
I think it's in the right direction.
Yeah,
the neighbors, you know.
Yeah, but the other side of the coin is that these people came into power through the barrel of the gun. They didn't come into power through what we had all accepted to be the right way. That is democracy, right? So, you know, why are you then glorifying in quote, right? But of course, they have enormous public support in their home country, right? Even so much that you can see the spillover here in Ghana in a way. Because when they came to Ghana, you could clearly tell that, like, he had the loudest chair, right? So it's one thing saying that, oh, they came into power through unconstitutional means, right? When it shows that the people are for them. But there's also another school of thought that say that, see, don't believe everything you see on social media, right? It's not as rosy as everybody seems to make it look like. Oh, hey, these people, they came to power through the gun, and now they are doing well, we don't know the full story. That is what another school of thought believe, right? That, see, well, they seem to be having enough public support, but there may be other people who may be oppressed, and we don't know, right? So it's a very dicey situation to follow. But you listen to government, they seem to understand what they are doing, and it forms part of government's overall foreign policy, making ECOWAS a more stronger unit, and they feel like bringing these countries together help that cause. Now let me just bring excerpts of that story, and maybe we can discuss it further. So Mahama visits Mali as part of the Good Neighborliness Tour. President John Dramani Mahama on Saturday, March 8, embarked on a day's working visit to Bamako, Mali, as part of his Good Neighborliness Tour to countries in the sub-region. This phase of the tour will take him to Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. So Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, who have left the ECOWAS grouping and formed the Alliance of Sahel States. Upon his arrival, he was welcomed at the Modiba Keita Airport by the transitional president, General Goita, from where he held a closed-door meeting with in the presidential palace. The story goes on to say that, so the president went along with a high-profile delegation, which involved the Foreign Affairs Minister, Sam Okudzeto-Ablakwa, the presidential special envoy to the Sahel states, Colonel retired Bevlo Latte, government communications minister was there, Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, as well as deputy chief of staff in charge of operations at the presidency, Stan Dogbe. So clearly, the president is a man on the mission to bring the Alliance of Sahel states, which involve Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, back into the ECOWAS. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes.
You think it's in the right direction?
It depends on your
what angle
your foreign policy orientation, right? And your understanding of geopolitics, right? So some people say, well, let them go, let them be. Other people say, no, we need to be a stronger unit. We are a stronger unit if all of them are involved. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. Okay,
still on Channel One, IWD was yesterday, International Women's Day.
Accelerate action.
You know,
is it accelerating action or
accelerate action?
Accelerate action.
Yeah. My gift never came, but that's on a lighter note.
Shouty.
So Mahama calls for unified action to empower women.
Okay.
President John Dramani Mahama has underscored the importance of empowering and uplifting women across all sectors of society. In a message to mark International Women's Day on Saturday, March 8, he urged Ghanaians to unite in creating a nation where every woman can achieve her full potential. Recognizing Ghana's progress in gender equality, President Mahama highlighted the historic election of the country's first female vice president, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, and stressed the need to build on this milestone. So he also called for a stronger focus on women's empowerment in education, in business, politics, and leadership, advocating for collective action to create a more inclusive and equitable society. So happy International Women's Day, quote. This year's theme, Accelerate Action, calls for urgent measures to ensure that we achieve gender equality. Why are you laughing? Accelerate action.
Which action?
Action.
Which action?
As in move, power, go, set. So Ghana has made some significant strides, particularly in electing its first female vice president. Let's build on this momentum. We must all prioritize empowering and uplifting women in every sphere, from education and business to politics and leadership. Let's work together to create a Ghana where every woman has the opportunity to reach her full potential. I love it.
Interesting.
Yes, we're supposed to be giving all the mandates to activate.
Like we were saying yesterday, for me, I think a major focus should also be, fighting the stereotypes, right? A woman is as qualified as a man.
Thank you. Simply put.
Except that you can't walk bare-chested, but I can. No, that's the only difference. Yes. But the point I'm seeking to drive home is, now you can't walk bare-chested, but that's okay. The point I'm seeking to drive home is that you can't.
Who set the rules?
Oh, well, nothing stops you. Nothing stops you.
Who set the rules, please?
The point about fighting the stereotype for me is because women are as qualified, and in some instances even more qualified, right? And we need to give them their due. So shout outs to all of you guys out there, Now let me just end with this story.
Okay.
2025 Heritage Caravan. Participants enjoyed thrilling boat ride at Mahama Beach Village. You know, they spent 2 nights there.
In Mahama.
Participants of the 2025 Heritage Caravan, organized by ChannelOne TV City FM to celebrate Ghana's rich cultural heritage, explored the Mahama Beach Village mini port in Ezu-Liwanu in the western region, where they embarked on an exhilarating boat ride. The boat ride was conducted in batches, ensuring all participants had the opportunity to experience the scenic water adventure. The group also visited the Mahama Beach Village at Bakanta, where they enjoyed a barbecue and participated in games sponsored by Pomo and Gino. The story goes on to say these activities were sponsored by GB Foods. Later in the evening, the Caravanites are set to enjoy, at the time, a formal dinner and live band performance by the Inchin Band. So clearly, people are having fun.
But it all
a
comes to an
time
end.
was hard.
Now it's in the past. It all comes to an end, darling.
But the moments and the memories, actually the memories live. It lives forever, right? So shout outs to all of them.
They've had a good time. They really have. All right. You have any more stories?
I think these are all. But maybe on the international stage, you know, there are reports that Elon Musk and the U.S. Secretary of State, who is like a foreign affairs minister, Marco Rubio, had a clash in cabinet.
Really?
Yes, CNN reported that yesterday. The president, Donald Trump, came out to deny it, but it's a story that is building, right, over his cuts on waste and, you know, fraud and abuse. So it's a story that's developing, and, you know, I'm sure in the coming days, and we hear a lot more about it.
Right.
Amazing.
Okay, so that's all we have for news review.